Finding an RPG in Australia in the early 90s was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. If you liked the genre, you were screwed, forced to look on as the rest of the world enjoyed titles such as Final Fantasy 2 and 3, Chrono Trigger, Seiken Densetsu 3, Tales of Phantasia. Just thinking about it sends shivers up my spine. It's one nostalgic memory that I could do without. Secret of Mana was the game that, to me, finally brought the JRPG to Australia. It brought all the elements together into the perfect package. Sound, visuals, gameplay, story, perfect. It was the beginning of Square's golden age of 90s JRPGs. The first screenshot I remember seeing of the game was that one from the Super Nintendo information booklet. I began hunting for this mysterious and awesome looking new game. Couldn't find it anywhere though. I ended up having to ring all around Australia until I found a single copy available in World for Kids Queensland. They agreed to send it to Geelong and I was rapt. I couldn't wait for it to arrive. It seemed like years had passed before it showed up, but when it did, I had no money to go purchase it. I was devastated. My mum gave me a small down payment so I could at least lay by it, and off I went into town. As I approached World for Kids, a strange thing happened. The wind picked up and began blowing dry leaves around in a little whirlwind. Among the leaves was a $50 note. I could not believe my luck. I grabbed it and looked around. It seemed like it had come out of nowhere. I ran straight to World for Kids, grabbed the game and never looked back. It is one of my favourite gaming memories of all time. Secret of Mana is an action RPG that borrows elements from The Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy and rolls them into one. It was directed and produced by Final Fantasy veterans Koichi Ishii and Hiromichi Tanaka and programmed by Naza Gabali. It was originally intended as a launch game for the ill-fated SNES CD-ROM and was to be a hugely ambitious project for the time, but as Nintendo and Sony couldn't come to any sort of agreement, the machine was cancelled and the game was scaled back to fit on cartridge, and as a result it is estimated that Secret of Mana lost around 40 to 50% of its original content that later went on to be used in the amazing Japan-only sequel Seiken Densetsu 3 and the more well-known Chrono Trigger. The story revolves around the Tree of Mana, which gives life to everything in the world. It shares similarities with many real-earth mythologies regarding the World Tree or Yggdrasil. This tree had sprites as caretakers until the dark times when the first humans arrived. They began to use technology to drain the mana from the tree, thus weakening it and unleashing the monsters from deep inside the Earth's core. These monsters sought the destruction of those who would abuse the tree and by extension them. These were the Mana Beasts. At some point during this global conflict, a man appeared bearing a strange blade. He smashed the Mana Fortress and sealed the power of mana so that none could ever abuse it again. But time flows like a river, and history repeats. Many years later, 3 teenagers are hunting for treasure at the top of a waterfall. One of them slips and falls. After being prompted by a mysterious voice to pull a rusty blade from a stone in the river, the young man's adventure begins. Along the journey, he will be joined by 2 others. A woman searching for her beloved, and a young sprite who just loves to play pranks on everybody. Secret of Mana uses real-time battles just like Legend of Zelda, but with a bit of an RPG twist. It uses a stamina bar mechanic. This means you won't be able to land a decent hit until you've let your stamina reach 100%. You're able to swing at any time, but the percentage rating will decide your damage output, so strategy is required over button mashing. Enemies will attack you in the same way, and damage can be stacked, so make sure you don't get mobbed in the corner. Sometimes it's better to swing at a lower percentage just so that you can stagger your enemies and escape. Defeating enemies yields experience and gold, and your character levels up just like in most RPGs of the time. There are also many unique weapons to use, and they can be leveled up to 8 times to gain special weapon attacks. Your main objective is to journey across the land in search of the 8 mana seeds. With each seed you'll gain the friendship of an elemental spirit. They bestow magic abilities on your comrades, which can then be leveled up to 8 times. There's a bit of a class system going on amongst the 3 characters of Secret of Mana. The main character is a knight type, the girl is a healing type, and the sprite is a black mage type. In order to utilise items, magic and armour, a simple system called the ring command is implemented. It is a seamless transition from game to inventory, creating an incredibly simple yet intuitive interface that still works to this day, and I can't understand why this particular mechanic is never used in subsequent RPGs. One of the most unique additions to this game was the fact that you could play as all three, and your friends could jump in at any time and control these other characters. It wasn't always perfect, and sometimes they got caught on bits of scenery and stuff like that, but when you really think about it, this was amazing for its time, and it still hasn't really been used that much since then. What is the deal with that? For the most part, you explore the world in real time on foot. You don't zoom out to any kind of map screen or anything like that, until you come across the Cannon Travel Agency, who, for a small fee, will send you hurtling through the Mode 7 stratosphere to your destination via cannon. These scenes are hilarious, like how could they survive such a long fall? They just smash down on their backs as well.
This is even more painful than it looks.
Later on in the game you find a young dragon who grows rapidly into an adult and can be summoned from almost anywhere to take you soaring across the vast, colourful Mode 7 map. This dragon, known as Flammy, has become iconic along with the music and Mode 7 effects used in these flying scenes. They were most definitely inspired by a never-ending story. The graphics and presentation in the game are fantastic. It's bright, bold and colourful, and the sprite style was adopted by Chrono Trigger. It has many subtle water animations and transparency effects are used really well. The cover art and title screen graphics have an amazing feel to them, due in part to the artist Hiru Isono, whose rainforest and jungle art were used to portray the Pure Land and Tree of Mana. The music in Secret of Mana is iconic, heart-wrenchingly emotional and amazing. Hiroki Kikuta was the man who created it. He was a student of philosophy and a self-taught musician. For Secret of Mana, he chose to utilise a lot of percussion and woodwind instruments, and rather than create MIDI versions of his music, which then got handed off to another department for audio conversion, he instead chose to create his own samples that matched the SNES hardware, eliminating the need to painstakingly convert sound through multiple hardware formats. He worked nearly 24 hours a day for a year, sleeping in his office frequently. As a result, Secret of Mana's music is incredibly loved and celebrated. VGM artists have created several albums that are incredible and really show the love and the dedication that people have for this soundtrack. Just amazing. There's a large variety of enemies in the game, and they're very challenging. The bosses are huge, colourful and well animated, and there's around 50 of them to beat. That's like the largest amount of bosses in any game ever. And that's great because I bloody love me boss battles. The game's filled with memorable characters. Remember Watts the Dwarven Blacksmith? Or the old witch in the forest? The funny blokes on the sand ship? And what about that creepy Thanatos? So memorable. Oh, and you can't forget about the dodgy merchant cat Nico. One thing that I always found funny was the way the merchants dance around. They're just going sick. They're just rapt to be taking your coin. Like imagine going into the 7-Eleven and the dude's just dancing behind the counter. When I play this game, the art style, music and gameplay seem so rich, so expansive that I still can't believe how good playing this game makes me feel. It's so atmospheric and it helps you feel connected to the natural world in a strange way. It makes you feel wonder for nature and the elements. It feels alive and it speaks to your innermost humanity. One of the greatest games that ever came to the West or to the South. As Aussies, all of those who played it never forgot it, and we never ever will. Well, I hope you liked my little retrospective of Secret of Mana. Now I just wonder if the new remake is actually going to make a dent in that little memory that I've got there. Now I'm going to go and check it out, and I'll let you know. Catch you next time.